SoFi just hit levels we haven't seen since 2021, and man, I think we're looking at something special here. I've been watching this stock for months, and the pieces are finally coming together in a way that could be absolutely massive. People keep comparing it to other fintech plays, but I think they're missing the bigger picture. This isn't just another online bank or trading app. SoFi is building something completely different that could revolutionize how retail investors access alternative investments. The private markets expansion is what really caught my attention, and honestly, I think most people completely glossed over how massive this could be. SoFi just partnered with Cashmere, Fundrise, and Liberty Street Advisors to let regular people invest in OpenAI, SpaceX, Epic Games, companies that were basically off limits unless you were already rich or had institutional connections. And get this. The minimum investment is $10, which is absolutely genius because it opens up these huge opportunities to literally anyone with a smartphone. I was talking to a friend about this and he was like, wait, I can buy SpaceX for $10, and that's exactly the reaction SoFi wants because they're not just democratizing investing, they're creating a whole new market that didn't exist before. This builds on partnerships they already have with ARK, KKR, Carlyle, Franklin Templeton. These aren't small players, these are massive asset managers who are essentially validating SoFi's platform as the go-to place for alternative investments. The timing is perfect too because everyone's obsessed with AI companies and space tech, but most of these companies are private, so SoFi just became the bridge between retail investors and all that growth potential. What makes this move so brilliant is that it creates sticky revenue streams. Once people start investing in these exclusive opportunities through SoFi, they're not going to easily switch platforms because these opportunities simply aren't available elsewhere. The short squeeze potential combined with S&P 500 inclusion creates this perfect storm of technical and institutional catalysts that could drive massive price moves. SoFi has serious short interest with a meaningful percentage of the float being shorted, and I've been watching the options flow lately. There's definitely some gamma squeeze potential building up as call option activity increases. The difference between SoFi and other meme stocks is that SoFi actually has real fundamental catalysts backing up the technical setup. The private markets expansion, growing user base, improving profitability, and potential policy changes around student loans. Days to cover is favorable too, so if this thing starts moving, it could take several days of buying pressure to close all the short positions, which historically creates sustained upward moves rather than just quick spikes. But here's the really interesting part. The S&P 500 inclusion timeline could be faster than people think because SoFi needs to hit 20.5 billion market cap consistently and maintain GAAP profitability for 4 quarters, and they're currently at around $21 billion with serious progress on GAAP earnings. Once they check both boxes, the forced buying from index funds is automatic and massive, creating this feedback loop where short covering drives the price higher, which gets them closer to S&P inclusion, which creates more buying pressure. SoFi's banking license advantage is something that most people completely underestimate, and it's combined with potential student loan policy upside that could provide massive tailwinds. Unlike Robinhood and most other fintechs, SoFi actually has a banking license, which means they can hold deposits, offer real banking services, and generate net interest income. This creates way more stable and diversified revenue streams than companies that are just trading apps or lending platforms. This comprehensive approach to financial services is exactly what you want to see in a company that's trying to build long-term value rather than just chase the latest trends. On the student loan front, SoFi is one of the biggest players in private student loan refinancing, and any shifts in policy that make federal programs less attractive or create more demand for private alternatives could be a huge tailwind for their lending business. They've spent years building the infrastructure, relationships, and expertise to handle large volumes of student loan business, so they're well positioned to capitalize quickly if market conditions shift in their favor. What's particularly interesting is that this potential catalyst is largely separate from their other growth initiatives: the private markets expansion, the banking services growth, the investment platform development, so it represents pure upside rather than something that's already priced in. The broader fintech environment is also supportive, with valuations recovering from 2022 lows and investors showing renewed appetite for companies that can demonstrate both growth and a path to profitability, which SoFi clearly has. Looking at current market conditions in July 2025, everything is aligning perfectly for SoFi to make this jump from mid-cap growth story to major financial platform that could dominate the alternative investment space for retail investors. The fintech environment is recovering, there's renewed interest in companies with clear paths to profitability, and investors are hungry for growth stories that make sense fundamentally rather than just riding on hype. SoFi has multiple ways to win over the next 12 to 18 months. The private markets innovation creating new revenue streams, the short squeeze dynamics providing technical momentum, the S&P 500 inclusion potential bringing institutional buying, and the student loan policy upside offering additional catalyst potential. What I find most compelling is how underappreciated this story still is because people are focused on the obvious tech plays while SoFi is quietly building this comprehensive financial ecosystem that could be absolutely massive. The private markets expansion is just the latest example of how they keep finding new ways to differentiate and create revenue streams that their competitors simply can't match. This isn't just another fintech play. It's a company that's redefining what financial services can be. And with all these catalysts aligning, I think we're about to see something special happen with this stock that could mirror the explosive moves we've seen in companies like Palantir and Robinhood when everything clicked into place.